everyone, it's Bronie here again for another day in Bronie's world. And at Bronie's desk today, we have the mighty, amazing, magical, and
Mystical.
Pharmacist Ben with the knowledge that
Awesome.
blows my mind every single time.
My goodness.
Look, if I had all the knowledge that you had, Ben,
Yeah.
I would be a walking encyclopedia. But anyway, this is the beauty of the business we are in, is that we don't have to know everything because I know where to find it. Isn't that what Einstein used to say? Don't keep up here what you don't what you know when you know where to find it or who to ask, because there's too many other important things that you'll have to keep there that you can't find somewhere else. Anyway, so with no further ado, through the week or about a week or so ago, I got asked about gut lining and what people can do to fix it. And I had a little chat with Ben about this. So I thought that we would start with that today because it's short and sweet today because Ben has other commitments. So take it away, Ben, with no further
Okie
ado.
dokie. So you asked me about a supplement. It was called, what was it called, Bronie? Do you remember? I forgot the name of it. BioComplete 3. Is that right? Does that
That
sound
was
right?
it, yes, but it's
Okay.
not one of ours.
No, it's not one of ours, but it has an ingredient that you and I have talked about. We've talked about it on this call before. Not quite a derivative. It's a very simple product. Hopefully, it's not too expensive because it's really made with very cheap ingredients. So I'm hoping it's not too expensive. There's only 30 capsules in there. You're supposed to take 2 at a time, so it's like 15 doses. And it's just made with very, very cheap ingredients. It's made with 5 ingredients, according to supplement facts, 5 active ingredients. There's other things in there, but 5 active ingredients. So you're getting what they call a prebiotic blend, you're getting a postbiotic blend, and you're getting a probiotic blend. So we always talk about probiotics. You've heard
Yeah.
that term a million times. Interestingly, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have known what the heck I was talking about because nobody knew what probiotics were. Well, I should say most people didn't know. Scientists knew about it, nutritionists knew about it, but most average lay people did not know what probiotics were until maybe 25 years ago or so. Today, everybody knows what probiotics are. They're good bacteria. But what people still don't recognize, or they're recognizing more and more, is in addition to probiotics, there are prebiotics and there are postbiotics. So you've got probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics. Probiotics are the bacteria, and they're extremely important for health. They make vitamins, they detoxify foods, they protect the gut, the intestinal lining, they talk to the gallbladder and the liver for bile. They're just tremendously, tremendously important entities. They're not supplements, probiotics, in the traditional sense, because they're living. They're bacteria, or they're formerly bacteria. Sometimes they're dead. But they're living, they're creatures, as opposed to vitamins, minerals, and amino acids and fatty acids, which are molecules.
Mm-hmm.
So probiotics are very tricky, and there's no real standardization for probiotics. There's no official probiotic council that monitors probiotic supplements or that assesses probiotic supplements. And there's thousands of different types of probiotics, and so or different bacteria, and probiotic formulations are made of different combinations of these bacteria. So it's a lot of trial and error with probiotic supplements. What's even more confounding and makes the situation even more complicated is if you're suffering from a condition called SIBO, which stands for small intestine, bacterial overgrowth, as you may have too much bacteria in your small intestine, you can end up dealing with problems like gas and bloating and discomfort. And there's a lot of really healthy foods, avocados and fibery foods, dried fruits, tomatoes, that can exacerbate SIBO. But if you're suffering from SIBO, you may actually have a reaction to probiotics. You may take probiotics and feel worse. So probiotics are extremely complicated. And there's a lot of trial and error that comes into play when you're dealing with probiotics. So there's no cut and dry way to address a probiotic need, aside from trial and error, aside from testing different supplements. The prebiotic is the thing that feeds the probiotic, pre meaning before. So a prebiotic feeds the probiotic, and that's usually fiber. However, if you're dealing with SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and a lot of people are, using a prebiotic can actually make the problem worse because the prebiotic can feed the bacteria. This is where FODMAPs comes in. Prebiotics tend to be FODMAPs. FODMAP stands for fructo, oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. These are various types of sugars that feed bacteria. Prebiotics act like food for probiotics, and if you got too many bacteria in your digestive system, using a prebiotic can make it worse. You follow me? Is this getting too complicated here? You can see how complex it gets. Now, postbiotics, post meaning after, are things that probiotics make. Secretions from probiotics. So you got prebiotics, which feed the prebiotics, which feed the probiotics, which then make the postbiotics.
Are you getting tongue-tied?
Prebiotics feed the probiotics, which make postbiotics. It's the postbiotics that are the easiest to deal with. Because postbiotics are just secretions, they're just molecules. And of the postbiotics, one of the most important is something that you and I have talked about on this call previously, because it's an extremely important postbiotic, an extremely important secretion. One of the most important molecules in the body, and one that is very underappreciated, although it's becoming more and more appreciated for its value for digestive health, for mental health, for brain health, that is, for the immune system, and particularly for the intestinal lining. In fact, this postbiotic, which is called, it's a type of fat, it's called butyric acid, very short fat. You remember you have three sizes of fats. You have short, medium, and long. Most of the fats that we get are long. Sometimes you'll get medium fats. Most of the medium fats in foods are found in coconut, or in supplements, I should say, are found in coconut. You've heard the term medium chain triglycerides, or MCTs, possibly. Those are medium fats. And then there's 3 short fats. One of these short fats is extremely important. It's called butyric acid, or butyrate. The best natural source of butyrate, or butyric acid, is butter, and that's where we get the term butter, or the name butter. You guys we've talked about this. The best way to get butyric acid is to make your own butyric acid, and the best way to make your own butyric acid is with the ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet is a butyrate diet. It's a diet that produces butyric acid, or butyrate. This is one of the great benefits of the ketogenic diet. In fact, the butyrate, or the butyric acid, accounts for many of the benefits of the ketogenic diet. These days, supplement companies have gotten wise to the benefits of butyric acid, and now there are supplements that contain butyric acid, and they are valuable. And you can buy butyric acid supplements very readily on the internet or in health food stores. But nutrition companies are always looking to kind of modify things. And so they've taken the butyric acid molecule and they've created a synthetic molecule, a triglyceride they call it, which is basically three fatty acids attached to a glycerol molecule. You've heard the term triglycerides before. They measure triglycerides when they're measuring your blood fats. And they've created a triglyceride called tri-3-butyrate, which is made up of 3 butyric acids. So it's like a triple butyrate. And it's not cheap. It's not ridiculously expensive, but it's not cheap. And that's the active ingredient in this product that you sent me. This product you sent me has a prebiotic, which is fiber, very cheap stuff, acacia and guar. It has probiotics, which are not a very effective, just 2 bacteria. Really, this is not a great probiotic supplement. But the real secret sauce, as Dr. Wallach would say, in this product is the tributyrin. Tributyrin, I'm not sure if it's a patented molecule, but it's a synthetic molecule. I don't think it's found in nature. And it has some really interesting properties, and it's pretty good stuff. Personally, I would be just taking tributyrin if she really wants it, and I would save the money. This is not a really cost-effective supplement. You're only getting 30 capsules, and you have to take 15. You have to take 2 a day, so it's 15 doses. But tributyrin, it might be an interesting molecule. And the reason it's an interesting molecule is because of, excuse me, just one second. Hey, I'm on a Zoom call. Can I call you back? Okay. The reason it's such a valuable molecule is because of the butyric acid. Butyric acid, as I say, is helpful for the gut lining. It's anti-inflammatory. It's important for the brain. It's satiety inducing, so it's good for weight loss. It's got just a lot of really cool benefits. If she really wants to take advantage of them, she could buy Tributyrin, and it's probably going to save her a lot of money. She doesn't need the other things that are in there. She can take Tributyrin with nightly essence, or she can buy straight butyric acid, which is probably a little bit more cost effective. And I do recommend butyric acid. I also recommend the ketogenic diet to produce your own butyric acid. And there are a lot of wonderful benefits. Butyric acid, by the way, is a great bodybuilding molecule. Bodybuilders use butyric acid in the form of something called HMB, hydroxymethylbutyrate. There is also a form of butyric acid called GHB, gamma hydroxybutyrate. GHB, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago maybe. GHB was used, it became illegal maybe 20 years ago, but in the 90s, I was actually making it in my lab, and I was using it as a bodybuilding supplement, also as a sleep aid, and it was an incredible sleep aid. And then also, it was great for libido, for people who had issues that way.
Yeah, we did talk about this.
Yeah, we talked about this, right?
We did, and then you let me know what people use
why they made it illegal. They made it illegal, but it's still, butyric acid is a wonderful molecule, particularly for the intestine. And I do recommend that people use it. If you take too much of it, you can get some GI problems, but for the most part, it's non-toxic. And butyric acid, I can't say enough good stuff about butyric acid. Wonderful, wonderful molecule.
Oh, all right. So our best supplement that we have then would be nightly essence.
Nightly essence. If you're going to take Tributyrin or butyric acid supplements, you definitely want to take nightly essence with it. And you also want to be using prebiotics, but if you have SIBO, you got to be a little bit careful with that.
Okay. I'm not, well, our Pre Plus probiotics that I know and recommended, we don't have any longer. So
which one?
Pre Plus probiotic.
What's it called?
We don't have it anymore. It came over with the company that I came with, and I don't have a little.
It was a longevity product?
It was a Benny U product. It was a really good one, a Pre Plus probiotic, and I thought I had one sitting here, but I can't see it real quick. Anyway,
I had not.
And this is why my niece was asking, because she was like me. That was our Pre Plus probiotic. That's what it's called, Pre Plus probiotic, and I thought I had it sitting right here, but I don't.
I had not heard of that.
No, well, you won't, because it's now on. But anyway, so that answers that question. Now, because we only have you for a short time today, Ben, Gracie has a client with us today. I think she's a client.
Who say that again? Gracie
Decenti.
Okay.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Gracie. Hello, Gracie.
How are you?
I'm good. We have a client on the call?
Yes, I'd love Georgia to ask her question, or I can answer, or I can ask on your behalf, Georgia.
No, I want to see Georgia.
No, Georgia, we want you to.
I want Georgia.
Oh, good. Over to you, Georgia.
Georgia.
You just need to unmute. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Georgia.
How are you? Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you. What's going on?
Thank you. Yeah, so my question is it's kind of three, but I guess the first one is there a natural progesterone? Because I suffer from hot flushes and brain fog. So
progesterone is a great way to deal with hot flashes and brain fog and all that. What's your other questions?
Look, I think that's associated with everything else that I have. I mean, I'm menopausal, so
there's a lot of things that you could probably do, but progesterone is a great strategy. Longevity does not have any hormones, so they don't have progesterone. I have a progesterone I make in my pharmacy, but if you're in Australia, I can't really get it to you. But you can.
Can you send it to me?
I really can't because of your customs. But it's a really nice progesterone, and everybody needs progesterone. Men need progesterone, women need progesterone, and you don't have to wait till menopause to get till you're perimenopause or menopausal to get the benefits of progesterone. It's an incredibly valuable molecule.
Okay, So where can I get some
You get it
natural,
on Amazon. You get it on Amazon.
so
Don't
non-synthetic?
progesterone is not a synthetic molecule, it's a hormone. It's derived from, I mean, it's derived, it's not found in plants, it's only found in people. Plants don't make progesterone, but plants make precursors to progesterone, and then it's manipulated to get turned into progesterone. And it usually comes from soy or wild yam. Now, soy and wild yam don't have exactly progesterone, but the molecule is converted. The molecule it does have are converted to progesterone, and that's what you usually find. So all progesterone is natural in that sense. What you want to be careful about, and doctors will mislead you because they're not intentionally, they just don't know, is pharmaceutical progesterone, which is not really progesterone. It's called progestin. And so a lot of times you'll go to a doctor, and they'll say, we want to put you on progesterone. And you'll say, oh, great. And they'll give you a progestin, which in their minds is progesterone, but it's much more, it's very toxic. Progesterone is not toxic. And so that's why it's available over the counter. It's not toxic at all. I don't know what the law is in Australia, so I can't really speak about Australia. But here in the United States, it's over the counter. You get it on Amazon. But if you really want progesterone, the best way to do it is transdermally in a cream, in a topical. Most pharmacists will make it for you. So if you can,
but it doesn't work.
It doesn't work? Well, you may need more than progesterone.
The progesterone cream doesn't work.
No, well, when you say it doesn't work, what you mean it's not alleviating your symptoms. You don't know it's not working. You just know it's not alleviating your symptoms.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
so
that could be fair,
right?
a fair comment.
And that's because progesterone is just a drop in the bucket compared to what you really need. Now, estrogen's a very, very complicated issue. And just to give you a slight taste of the complexity of estrogen, there's no such thing as estrogen. There's no such thing. Estrogen is a family of molecules that are found throughout nature and, in fact, that are actually produced synthetically as a byproduct of industrial manufacturing processes of plastics. So estrogen-like compounds will confuse the body and have you cause side effects and toxicities that the body really isn't prepared to deal with. These kinds of estrogens are called foreign or xenoestrogens. Perhaps you've heard that term. And they're especially found in plastic bottles and plastic wraps and in plastic anything. They're also found in cosmetic products, such as ingredients like sunscreens are xenoestrogens. Preservatives can be xenoestrogens. Fragrances can have xenoestrogenic properties. So in essence, because of industrial manufacturing, everybody is swimming in an ocean of estrogen. And while estrogen is an incredibly important molecule, it's also very toxic. And that's why the body has to eliminate it quickly. That's why xenoestrogens are so problematic, because the body's not prepared to eliminate those quickly. The body's prepared to eliminate regular estrogen quickly, but not xenoestrogens. Xenoestrogens, they hang around and they're stored. And so many people, including men, are suffering from xenoestrogen exposure. And in fact, one of the things that estrogen does is it feminizes things. It makes women extra feminine, and by extra feminine, I mean it causes problems like cysts and fibroids and various growths and tumors, cancers. And in men, it feminizes men. And in fact, I don't know if you know who Alex Jones is. You know who Alex Jones is? Have you heard Alex Jones on the radio?
Yeah.
He got into a lot of trouble because he said in his own Alex Jones way, and I like Alex. I've worked with him. He's a good guy. He gets a lot of bad press. And he got a lot of problems because he said, and they're turning the frogs gay. You know, I don't know if you ever said that. He said, there are chemicals that are turning the frogs gay. And he got a lot of heat for that. But what he meant is that there's estrogen derivatives in the water and animals are becoming infertile because estrogen's birth control. And they're also feminine. They're creating hermaphroditic. You know what a hermaphrodite is? They're creating hermaphroditic fish and hermaphroditic frogs. And that's what he was kind of, in his own Alex Jones way, he was kind of speaking hyperbolically, but that's what he meant. And the reason is because of exposure to these xenoestrogens in the water as a byproduct of industrial processing and industrial synthesis of various plastics and chemicals. So estrogen's a big problem.
I don't take any of those.
Well, you are taking estrogen because I'm looking at you, and estrogen's made in body fat.
Ah,
So the more body fat you're carrying, the more estrogen you're making. And this is true for men and women. So everybody's making estrogen and everybody's exposed to estrogen. And because estrogen has to be eliminated quickly, if you have a problem with your liver, a problem with your gallbladder, and many women do, especially postmenopausal, or a problem with your intestine, you're not going to eliminate your estrogen quickly and it's going to accumulate. And this is where a lot of health challenges, particularly female health issues like breast cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer come into play. In younger women, infertility, fibromyalgia, endometriosis come into play. Polycystic ovarian syndrome can be partially caused, or some of the symptoms of polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, can be caused by estrogen. It's a big mess. Progesterone will balance out estrogen, and that's always a good idea. But the most important strategy for dealing with estrogen issues, which you're describing that you have, is to support the elimination of estrogen, to support the detoxification of estrogen. And that's done through liver strategies and bowel strategies. And so for women who are dealing with these kinds of issues, I would suggest fiber, which not only can improve elimination, but also bowel elimination, but also has a sticky quality, and estrogen can stick to the estrogen. You might want to consider charcoal capsules. Estrogen can stick to those. There's a wonderful molecule called calcium D-glucarate, Glucarate, and that supports estrogen detoxification. Another one called DIM, or I3C. These will support estrogen processing. Cruciferous vegetables are a woman's best friend because of their protective properties, because of their anti-estrogenic properties, or protective, we won't say anti-estrogen, but protective properties against estrogen toxicity. You should be eating cruciferous vegetables every day. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, cabbage, bok choy. These cruciferous vegetables are wonderfully protective against estrogen. And then probiotics, good bacteria and supporting intestinal health. The butyrate might help that we talked about earlier. Anything you could do to support estrogen detoxification and elimination is going to be helpful for you, in addition to using the progesterone. So progesterone is great, but you may have more other things that you want to do. That might not be enough for you. So when you say it's not working, it may be that you just have other things that you have to do to support the elimination and the detoxification of estrogen.
okay.
Okay?
With the what's that lady's one?
Zero test, zero fem.
Yeah,
Those
that
will
one.
help. Those will
would that
help.
help?
They'll help. They're not spectacular, but they'll point you in the right direction.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.
Was that everything, young Georgia?
I think that's it for today. I don't want to take up
Okay.
too much more time.
Good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Have a great day.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Now, I know Ben's got to go very quickly.
You want to do one more?
Gracie.
Oh, I should also tell you, vitamin E and vitamin A can be protective too. If you want to use vitamin E and vitamin A, those are also can be have some anti-estrogenic, or we'll say protective effects against estrogen.
Gracie had two other clients that tried to get on, but can't. You want to ask those, Gracie?
Ben, the first client, she's just started on longevity protocol, and she has a brain cyst. It hasn't grown in the last since her last scan, but
Okay.
she's just wondering why.
The
how did
two
that
major
form?
cysts and tags and growths and fibroids have two main causes. One is the aforementioned estrogen, and the second is insulin, and they're related. So anybody who has any kinds of issues with cysts, polycystic ovarian syndrome, or cystic skin tags, or cysts that grow on the surface of the body, or cysts that grow inside the body, fibroids, growths of all kinds, should, number one, be treated as a diabetic, particularly if they're older. Because usually, the way we eat here in the United States and in Australia and New Zealand, it's very difficult to not have some issues with your blood sugar. And elevated blood sugar and insulin both will stimulate the growth of things. They're both stimulatory. They're like gasoline for a cell. They make cells divide, as does estrogen. Estrogen is a proliferative hormone. What's the main role of estrogen? To grow a baby, to make a baby. That's really estrogen's main role in life. And so estrogen is very proliferative. It increases proliferation of cells, growth of cells, as does insulin and sugar. So anytime you have any growths of any kind, whether they're cyst growths, fibroid growths, boils on the body, on the skin, any kind of growths, you want to focus on estrogen and insulin. Those are the two main causes. So healthy blood sugar pack for insulin, and then all the things that we just talked about for estrogen would be helpful for her.
Awesome. Lovely. Thank you. And another potential new client, I've known him for many years. He's about 65. And for the last couple of years, he's in a lot of pain, and he's just been diagnosed as Addison disease. He's very fatigued. What is that about?
Okay.
Do you know much about
Well, first of all, how old is the patient?
I think he's about between 60 and 65.
Okay, so Addison's disease is adrenal insufficiency. It's when the adrenal glands don't make enough hormones. The adrenal glands are one of your main sources. They are the main source of, aside from the sex organs, the reproductive organs, they're the main source of steroid hormones. And so when you have Addison's disease, there's a whole slew of hormones you're not going to be making. And it usually happens after an immune problem. In fact, it may actually even be an autoimmune disease, depending on who you ask, but it's usually an immune problem. So somebody who has Addison's disease is somebody who's been sick for a long time. You don't wake up in the morning and all of a sudden have Addison's disease. It takes a long time to percolate. If he's 65 and he's been dealing with pain for a long time, it's probably been building up. Stuff has been going on in his body, and you can't just treat Addison's disease. You have to treat the causes. The first place to always look, and everybody who's on this call should understand this, the first place to always look is where, Bronie? What's the first place you focus on?
In your gut.
Always. Always, always, always. So I'm gonna give this. What's this gentleman's name? Is he on the call, by the way?
He couldn't make it today.
Oh, he couldn't make it. What's his name?
Let's just call him
Sam. We'll call him Sam.
Yeah.
Okay. I am now going to give Sam a psychic reading because I'm psychic, Ben, in addition to being a pharmacist. Sam, I'm seeing that you've had digestive problems for many years. I'm seeing that you've had bloating and gas for many years. I'm seeing there's foods that bother you. Am I right, Sam? I can't hear Sam. He's not here, but he's probably nodding his head because it has to happen that way. And we've gone over the mechanism a million times of how things get into the blood, et cetera, et cetera. That's where you got to focus on. Now, that's easier said than done because people don't like to change the way they eat. I'm not knocking on anybody. It's just we human beings like what we like. And to tell somebody they got to change the way they eat doesn't go over well, but that's what you got to do. And then the second point of the triangle of disease is also food related, and that's the blood sugar system. Now, the third point in the triangle of disease is the adrenal thyroid complex, and by definition, Addison's disease is an adrenal disease. So by working on the first 2 points, you're going to resolve the Addison's disease. If he wants to deal with it, it's very simple to do. It's not easy to do, but it's simple to do, if you know what I'm saying.
They did say it wasn't adrenal fatigue, but
They did say what?
They didn't think it was adrenals, anything to do with adrenals. But
well, then they don't know what they don't know what the hell they're talking about then, because Addison's disease is an adrenal issue. So you can't say I have Addison's disease, but I don't have an adrenal problem.
Okay. Where do you think I should start with him, Ben? What should, apart from changing the food, and then
blood sugar?
Blood sugar. Okay. Yeah.
And then if you want to do
gut.
Yeah, healthy blood sugar pack is what I would do.
Yeah.
And then that'll take care of a lot of the problem. If he's dealing with some kind of stressor, some kind of toxin that's getting into the body chronically, or psychological stress for that matter, that's going to compound the problem. But Addison's disease, like I say, doesn't just happen right away. It takes years for it to develop, which means there's other things that have been going on for years, which means that the good news is there's lots of places he can work. The bad news is that if he doesn't do it, if he doesn't really approach it at the root, the soil, there's nothing you could do just for the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands, remember the triangle, I don't know if you've heard this before, the 3 points, right? So the digestive system and the blood sugar system, they're the bottom of the triangle. You can work there. You can't work at the tip of the triangle. The tip of the triangle comes after these two. You can't work at the top until you work on the bottom. The top is where the jumping off point to all your chronic disease is. At this point, there's nothing you could do about the adrenals or the thyroid. And anybody who's been on Synthroid, or anybody who's got thyroid problem in this country, probably likewise in your country, every year the top selling drug is thyroid medicine. Because everybody's hypothyroid.
Yeah.
And nobody understands how to deal with it because you can't deal with it. it's the tip of the triangle. You got to go down to the digestive system and the blood sugar system, which is really simplifies everything. But because people don't like to change the way they eat, they like what they like, it's not easy to do. It's simple, but it's not easy.
We'll give it a try. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
Makes
Gracie.
sense.
Thank you, Gracie.
Thanks,
Now,
Okay.
Ben,
I do have to go. Short and sweet.
I know you have to go because I did have another question from Michelle, but I think some of what you said actually may help her with the
Okay.
question that she had about her retained friend. So if not, Michelle will ask that next time Ben's on. But as Ben has to go, let's call this
Okay.
a day. And
Thank
as
you
I
so
feel
much.
nice to be here in
And
Bronie.
Jill loved being on the air, on with you guys. She told me, and she'd love to be a regular, but I don't know if she can, but she'd love to.
Yeah, well,
And
she's
like my longevity
working
shirt.
on it. She's working on it because she has other things to do. But anyway, so as I
I
ask
didn't
you,
comment on my longevity shirt.
I know, good man. I have one of those.
You have one of those too?
I do.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you,
Well,
Ben.
let me
Thanks-
cut
thanks a
this
lot,
out.
Ben.
As I ask you all nicely here in Bronie's world, just stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And when you are taking care of that gut, look, we got to take care of the gut. Then you too, my friends, will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. God bless you all. I'm going to catch you again tomorrow here in Bronie's world. Bye for now.
Bye, Bren. Bye, Bronnie.